as we go through these briefly, your confidence level percentage, that is how confident you want to be that your demand, your actual demand coming up, is going to fit in with what you forecast. The higher your confidence level, the higher your forecast could potentially be, and the lower your risk is that you are going to have demand that is outside of your forecast. However, if you get too high up on the confidence level, your risk there is that you are carrying excess inventory. You can force some seasonality by, in short terms, letting your algorithm parameters know that you are a seasonal business in general. If you have lulls, maybe in the wintertime, October, November, you have a way of telling the system that. Forecasting model, there are just different algorithms. I'm not going to get into the weeds on what these individual options in particular do, but if you select all on your algorithm parameters, when you generate your statistical baseline forecast, it will go look through these different parameters or algorithm options and pick the one that works best for your items that you're forecasting. This is a spot where you might end up setting a particular forecasting model for a particular item allocation key. If you know that certain items just seem to work better with ETS from your testing on it, then you can set ETS to be used for that item allocation key, whereas in general, you would be using all and it would look for the best option. Something to note there as well is when you use all and it picks the best option, it's picking the best option for everything in that item allocation key when it generates this statistical forecast. So when you're analyzing the output, you may see that there's one or two items in there that just don't seem to have the forecast you would have expected to see. If that happens, you could potentially look at changing them to a different item allocation key, or you can use a function called outlier removal to take out items or warehouses or some other identifiers on those specific items that aren't being handled the way you want and exclude those from the forecast that you're generating. Don't want to get too far in the weeds on that though. You can also specify your maximum forecasted value or your minimum forecasted value. If there's a value missing when it goes and generates your forecast, you can tell it how you want it to fill in that gap. You can use previous, so if you've got April, May, and June that are being forecast and there's no value being generated for May, but you've got 2 in April and 4 in June, you can say previous to use 2 from April. You can interpolate linear, which would give you 3 for May because that's linearly between 2 and 4, etc. Probably wouldn't mess with the missing value substitution scope. We talked about seasonality, hint a little bit. When you're talking about seasonality, you have an option to say how often that repeats if you have seasonality that's more than once a year. And then for performance, you can pick your test set size percentage. It will go in and grab a sample of your historic data and use that for your forecast. The higher that percentage is, the more it's going to impact performance and how long it takes to generate your forecast.